Off to a great start. We here on Infinite Horizon are excellent at following directions.
And not forgetting them right after we're given them.
Cooperative.
Apparently you're muted, Lucas.
Yeah, you're muted.
I know.
Yeah.
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
It is Wednesday.
It is, yeah.
Wow. Feels like Thursday.
I wasn't sure what day it was when I woke up this morning. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I only know what day of the week it is because of Infinite Horizon, so.
Yeah. Oh. Yay!
Woo! Yes.
Still can't hear Lucas? Carnage chat? Oh, I see.
What you guys don't know is that Lucas is actually talking in a really high-pitched British accent, but since you guys can't hear, I guess you're just gonna miss out.
Is it that thing where like kids used to pull on, like, I guess me and my cousins used to do, where that app that would play the dog whistle sound and be like, our uncles couldn't hear it and be like, haha, you're old. So it's just everyone in chat is really old. You just can't hear how
it's like the
high-pitched
Polar
Lucas is.
Express. They don't believe in Santa Claus anymore.
Yeah. How's it going, chap? I know it's been a week since we saw you last, but like, feels like forever. Every week feels like a million years.
Goodness.
It has been going, yeah. Yep. It's been something. Yep. Good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're all, that's how I feel too.
So for the time being, I'm going to do this. It's the thing that I was trying to get to happen. VoiceMod has decided not to cooperate. So I'm just going to go direct input for now and fix it later.
There we go.
So anyway, hi everybody. This has just been a series of this is a disaster. I love it. Okay. Let's start over. Let's start that over. Hi everybody, welcome to Infinite Horizon. We have a caption bar now.
Yeah.
And on that subject, I would like to extend a special thank you to Ray and Friends Who Roll Dice for giving us this mostly successful alternative to web captioner, which we've sort of hesitated on using for a variety of reasons, most of them tech related. So this was a great alternative. So Ray and Friends Who Roll Dice, thank you so much for helping us out and giving us some suggestions. We appreciate it, and you very much. Yeah. So yeah. Welcome everybody. We've got an episode tonight.
Episode 30.
Episode 30. Wow, that was the 30th episode of Infinite Horizon. Whew. That's wild.
You could watch one episode every day for a whole month.
Yeah, that's true. But before we get into the episode, we have some stuff to talk about. First of all, this Friday's schedule, as some of you may have seen, includes Ramblemancy, as it usually does. This particular Ramblemancy, however, John Freeman and I are going to be talking about we're gonna be talking about character growth. Well, specifically, yeah, like personal growth with like characters, and also like how in personal growth and how we relate to tabletop RPGs and how we play them. Like, how does our own personal growth relate to how we play the game, how we engage with it and each other. So that's what we're going to be talking about this Friday. It's a very fascinating topic, one that is of particular interest to me because I have a lot of stories to share about that. So yeah, come find out what a shitty role player I was a few years ago.
Ooh, the gossip, the drama.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. We'll be talking about that. It'll be a good time. I think that's mostly our announcements. Those of you who are on Patreon, our tabletop tool chest just went up last night. This week is fantasy locations. So if you've been looking around for some good some good fodder for ideas for your fantasy, I know it is NaNoWriMo. So like if you've been struggling with some prompts for writing or something like that to help you out, I just punched my mic. But outside of that, you could use our tabletop tool chest for that. So yeah. Drac, don't lie to people. You're a wonderful role player.
Drac.
How could you say such a thing?
Don't lie to people.
I'm going to
you
punch
come
through
here.
your computer screen.
You come here.
I have evidence against that.
Yeah, you come to our channel and spread vicious lies on our channel.
In this house, we love and appreciate Drac. I need everyone to tell Drac that they love them in chat. Thank you. Okay, moving forward.
All right. Anybody else have anything that they want to announce right now? Want to tell everybody how you're feeling, what your favorite color is, what you ate for breakfast?
Green. There's beard balm in my beard. I can't really do push-ups that well.
Cool.
Anymore.
All right. Well, on that note, let's
knowledge, everybody. Love it.
On that note, let's jump into tonight's episode of Infinite Horizon.
Some will say this is the end. We're surrounded, but we won't give in. No. Who will save us? Who will save us? Sometimes you gotta let it go. Leave it up to the hero. Who will save us? Who will save us? When the truth's in the shadows. All hail to the heroes. They're gonna save us. Yeah, save us. Yeah, save us today.
In the flannel.
And we're back, everybody. Hello.
Hello, welcome back.
You could
It's
definitely
okay.
see that on the caption.
I'm certain.
Ah, we're caught.
Just talking about flannel. Just, very stereotypical here at Rule of Lore. The
We're all in
lesbians talking about
pajamas.
flannels. It's.
Here on Rule of Lore, the flannel is like a staple. We've got people from the Pacific Northwest, and we have lesbians.
I was about to say the same. Yeah,
All of us were flannel.
it's our uniform.
Yeah, it's the unofficial Rule of Lore uniform. We got some weird energy in this room tonight.
I hope y'all are prepared. I don't know what's
I'm
gonna come
not.
out of my mouth.
Well, we had our first episode, which focused on Peach, our second episode, which focused on Mason, and our third episode, which will focus on Bina, following the pattern. So I'm about to bring us all way down.
Sorry, guys.
It'll be fine.
Debatable.
That's why
The adrenaline of the emotion will
That's
keep
why the-
everybody going.
Yeah, that's why the energy is here right now because, we know it's coming. That was very ominous. I apologize. All right. So, previously on Infinite Horizon, It has been 5 months since the end of the last season, and the Resistance has relocated to a far-flung ice planet in the Border Worlds. Along with that has come all kinds of challenges to a brand new situation that everybody finds themselves in. Peach finding herself in a new position of being sort of the leader of this resistance. Mason finding himself taking on all kinds of responsibilities in a brand new type of job that he's not used to. And Bina struggling with her own emotional state after the events that took place on Sulon 5 months ago. In addition to that, many of the resistance leaders are are finding themselves unused to working together, now having been brought together for the first time since the beginning in some sort of cohesive fashion into some kind of organized resistance. And the tensions of that can be felt, excuse me, the tensions of that can be felt in many of the interactions between the leaders. In particular, last time we were introduced to the general of the resistance military forces and operations, Keldro named Karen Antos, with whom Peach has had certain clashes born of not being able to see eye to eye on many issues. Excuse me. Sorry, I have to clear my throat. All that laughing that we did before, and it just really messed up my whole vocal situation. Anyway, during the previous couple of episodes, there have been a few strange incidences related to Peach's dreaming. We learned that Peach has been making regular visits to the artifact, using it to try to recover some portion, at least, of the power that she wielded against the Warped on Sulon all those months ago, unsuccessfully. In the process, however, being exposed to stranger and stranger visions and dreams, not entirely of her own making. Mason has been put in the official position of overseeing the fledgling supers that were rescued from Silverbreak custody months ago, and training them to be able to work as a team and use their abilities. And Bina has been struggling to keep afloat in a world suddenly absent Alma and their ship Awakener. The most notable thing that has taken place in these last few episodes is that there have been several instances of equipment malfunctions around the base, as well as, most dire, the ice shelf that the resistance base uses to mine for water processing. Part of it collapsed, causing some serious damage to the ice drill facility, thus halting the flow of water to be processed. In the emergency, Mason, as well as the fledgling super Solar, were able to work together to rescue the personnel trapped within the facility. However, the facility was still left inoperable. And at the end of last episode, Bina had begun mobilizing the engineering teams to assess the damages that were done and see where the damage happened. And to see if maybe there wasn't some ripple effect from the damage done at the facility through the pipeline. And that's where we begin tonight's episode. It's been about a day or so since the emergency itself. Crews have been back and forth along the pipeline, still having yet to fully map the whole thing. Basically working in shifts to patrol different parts of the pipeline corridor to find if there are any ruptures in the pipeline or other disruptions. The thing that's making it difficult is that each time a new team has to go in, they have to walk most of the way into the pipeline themselves and get there, which takes up an increasing amount of their time working in the pipeline. Not to mention that what has been found is that after about a quarter of the way through the pipeline, there's just no power of any kind, which means emergency lighting and like just the lighting situation in general is terrible, which makes it that much harder for engineering crews to find potential disruptions. Bina has, I imagine, has been basically nonstop on this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So where we start right now,
We have lost captions
again, this
according
is
to Chad.
yeah, no captions at all.
It says rip captions and now it's back. I guess the window needs to be given some TLC on occasion.
Okay. I am aware that it is. Hold on, I'm trying to turn it into full screen to see if maybe that'll help. So give me a second while I mess with that. Actually, that might mess with the sizing of the window. We'll just work on it every once in a while, and we'll just check on it.
It's got the bar up in front of it now.
I know, yeah, I had it up
Okay.
so that. Okay, let me. Okay. Hopefully that has helped a little bit. Yeah. First try. This is our first attempt at working this, so we will continue to refine it as it goes on. For now, we'll just keep making sure that it's working from time to time. In fact, what I might do is I'm just going to keep OBS up so that I can see when and if it changes. So, yeah, Caitlin?
It doesn't look like it's going.
Really?
It's stuck on me saying okay and you saying okay.
Oh, it's not doing anything at all. I see what's happening. I get it. Okay. I see. That's very strange.
Yeah, I think the capture just freezes when the window isn't open.
Gotcha. Okay. Then I will leave it where it is for the time being. And we'll see if that helps at all. All right. So, where we begin right now, Bina, you are, you're standing on a rocky surface. Around you are stars. As soon as you see that, you turn around, almost knowing what you're about to see. And as you turn, sure enough, you can see it, the hulking form of just an enormous vessel, capital vessel, sticking straight out of the surface of the asteroid. And as you are looking in that direction, you can see a small hovercraft, a utility craft, just rocketing its way across the surface towards it. Even from this distance, you can see yourself piloting it, driving towards the silver fall embedded in the asteroid, the outer asteroid shell of Sulan. And suddenly, everything around you just sort of ripples. And now the hovercraft is going in the other direction, back away from the vessel. And as you turn, you hear engines roar, and as you turn, you can see the form of Awakener taking off, leaving Sulan. And as you stare and watch it once again, you hear you hear her voice next to you. As you turn and you see Alma standing right there in front of you. Says, Bina, help me.
I'm gonna.
Um, she reaches out her hand to you, but as she does, it's almost like she gets further away from you.
All forearms.
Yeah, you reach out and you become aware that you are not on the surface of this asteroid. You're flying. You're flying towards her. You look to either side and you can see wings. Your wings. And as you push forward, your wings beating furiously, trying to reach her, you reach out, getting closer and closer. And then, suddenly, as you knew they would, because of the number of times you've had this dream, your wings are gone, and you're in free fall. You fall, and you fall past where Alma is standing into a deep crevice in the asteroid's surface. She vanishes beyond your sight, and you are falling. There's a moment as you fall through the empty void where you feel like there's somebody else there too. And you turn to look, and for a split second, you see Peach standing, watching you, not falling, just standing in the emptiness, just watching you as you fall. But immediately, as soon as you have the thought, she's forgotten. And just at the last second, as you turn, you can see what looks like a surface approaching you. You fall, and as you fall down, you enter the central area of Sulan, the city itself, and you fall towards the spires below, past several of them, as you fall towards the center. And as soon as you reach towards the center, you can see the spherical constructs that sort of hover in the middle of the asteroid, of the hollowed out space in the asteroid. As you fall towards them, you can see in one of the windows, you can see as you make your way closer and closer, rapidly moving towards it to the point where you know you're not going to be able to stop yourself in time. There's a split second as you look in the windows and you see Jade, you see Mason, you see Peach, you see Sedona and Abriel and Patch standing inside, all talking and laughing. And as you fall towards it, towards that window, just before you impact, you start awake. As you wake very suddenly, and you look immediately, taking in your surroundings, sitting in water processing, where you fell asleep in the corner.
I look around. Is there anyone in here?
Hmm.
Because if they are, they probably felt that.
Yeah, you look up and you look around and you see that there are like a couple of people. Some of them are far enough away that they probably wouldn't have felt it, but a couple of people nearby, the closest two, are sort of looking around confusedly and then looking kind of towards you. And yeah.
Sorry. She doesn't really say it loud enough for anyone to hear it, but just to herself, like, sorry. And then we'll kind of shakily get up and brush dust and stuff, anything off of her pants, and collect her things. And no idea what time it is, doesn't really care what time it is, but it's going to move on to the next thing she knows that she's supposed to be doing, so that she can not hang out with that.
Yeah.
Because she tried that for a while, I think, in the beginning when she started having the nightmares, and it made things worse. So now she distracts. So she's going to move on with her next, whatever her next goal would be for the day.
Okay. You sort of you look around for for your data pad, which basically has like an updating list of sections that are being checked by the, like, in real time updating, being checked by the maintenance crews who are going up and down the pipeline.
Mhm.
And you glance at it and you can see basically like sections are being checked, and other than like small maintenance issues that are being flagged occasionally, there's nothing that looks like nothing has been found yet as far as disruptions go. Um, it and actually you're surprised and somewhat encouraged to find that about 85% of the pipeline has been checked at this point. It's looking, if this continues, it's looking like chances are the pipeline is still intact and the only problem is going to be the facility itself.
That's good.
The
It's
one
still
thing,
going to be a big issue though. Like she's
Right.
still kind of, I think she's finding herself like relieved at the 80% of the pipeline. Okay, it's good that things aren't as bad as we thought, but like I think catches herself getting excited at the prospect of a big problem. like and I think she surprises herself with that. On it, like kind of like it catches like a, oh, she hasn't really been enthused to do things in a while, and the fact that this is like, oh, this is a big problem. This is what she used to consider like this is the fun job. So I think she tucks that away for a later examination, but I think that's kind of her state at the moment.
yeah, it sounds good. So, the previous night, or maybe earlier today, hard to say exactly, having no clear concept of when exactly you fell asleep during this, but you had spent some time looking at, basically dreading anybody finding something that in the pipeline, which would be a difficult thing to fix on its own. Like that, messing with that stuff would be tough. It means that the water processing would be down for a lot longer. So I imagine Bina was just sort of sitting, looking at constant updates, just waiting for that shoe to drop. And having now woken up with more and more signs being encouraging, you're sort of able to think about now some of the other things, such as you can feel that kind of rumble in your stomach.
Oh. Yeah, she doesn't know the last time she ate. Definitely does not. Yeah, I think if the only thing she has is just waiting for updates, then she'll probably just bring her pad with her, to kind of maybe go try to find something to eat somewhere, and probably doesn't take her eyes off of it. Like, even it's like she's very much like the watching wet paint dry, but like she can't stop herself. Like constant, like when you refresh your Twitter feed, even though there's nothing there, it's 4 a.m, but like it's compulsive.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. I've
know.
never experienced that.
I think she would probably want to, like, are we like all hands on deck? Like this is big deal. Like we've brought in people who aren't normally helping out with this.
Yeah, right now it's basically like engineers are stretched thin as it is. But basically right now, the shuttle bay, like the hangar, has been fully shut down so that all the engineers that are normally in there can dedicate their time to this. And yeah, like there's even been some people who have been called back from the fleet, some of the engineers from the fleet, who to sort of help. So right now, yeah, as far as the engineering core is concerned, yeah, it's all hands on deck.
Cool. Yeah. All right. I think she would double check into that as far as like if any new personnel has been brought in, and then she'll walk down to what is it? It's mess hall. Is that what it is called?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you make your way down that
I
direction.
think she'll gauge what time it is by how many people are in there.
Yeah.
Is it a meal hour or is it dead in there because it's the middle of the
Right
goddamn
now-
night?
Right now, it looks like it is either the it well, I would say that you wouldn't be able to tell time once you got in there, but like
Yeah.
the immediate impression that you get, there aren't many people around, but there is food that's currently being served, which tells you that it's probably very, very early in the morning.
Oh, good.
Um,
That checks out.
So there are like a few, like just a handful of people. Quite a few of them look like they had just gotten off shift because you can see like many of them look kind of haggard and they have circles under their eyes and they're just sort of sitting, just eating,
Yeah.
just quietly. There's not a whole lot of banter or conversation happening. Just sort of, if there is anybody who is eating together, they're mostly eating in silence.
Yeah, fair. Do we have like Orzai people? Like, are there a lot of Orzai in the base?
Not a
with
lot,
us?
but there's a few.
Is there any Orzai home cooking? Like, that's what Bina wants, some like Orzai comfort food.
Oh,
um,
yeah.
I'm gonna say that probably, as a rule, probably no. But what I will say is that
Well, she
whoever,
craves it
yeah,
regardless.
whoever like the the chefs, particularly at this shift, are, I'll say that there's a really good chance that Bina like
This is the ship. This is when she eats.
this is when
then.
she eats, and so they do their best. It's not the same, it's not what you want, but they do their best with what they've got.
Yeah, she'll ask for I think probably some like very it's probably lighter. It's not super light. I don't think there's a lot of like rich savory. I think it's more like fresh and like lighter kind of meals, like with veggies and like noodle dishes, stuff like that, and grains maybe. So I think that's kind of some sort of like veggie dish that would be an early in the morning thing, and that's
Yeah.
probably what she'd get.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's actually Orzai, just like that's the vibe of that she's gonna go for in hopefully to replace that. She's craving that this morning. So.
Yeah. And you settle down and at a table and just start eating it. And as always, it's one of those situations where it's like you really want a specific thing and you get something that's similar, and all it does is make you want the other thing more.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
I think while she's eating, I think she probably also has like a little bit of like when you like can't shake a dream and there was something physical about it. I think this is like I think every once in a while she has to like roll her shoulders out because she can't get rid of that like phantom feeling of like. I think eventually her stomach like settles after like a stomach drop of falling. That's probably went away pretty fast. But I think she has to roll her shoulders on occasion to make the phantom sensation of extra limbs go away.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, messing with the caption thing. All right. So yeah, you proceed eating your meal, and it's fine, it's tasty. It's just not really what you were wanting. But yeah, keeping an eye on the updates as they roll in one by one, very slowly.
Yeah, she's got two hands holding the bowl, one hand eating, the other hand's holding the pad.
Yeah. And as you are sitting there eating your morning meal, we're gonna cut over to Peach, who moments ago, you also we're actually gonna go back in time just a little bit. As Peach, you sleeping, find yourself standing on the surface of Sulan, watching Bina watch herself rocket across the surface of the asteroid. You watch Awakener take off. You watch Alma reach out to Bina, calling out for help. You watch Bina fly towards her, and you watch her wings disappear, and as she falls. There's a moment as Bina is falling where you think for certain that Bina has seen you, but immediately just turns and goes back into her fall. And right about the moment where Bina would impact on the surface of the building in the center of Sulan, you pull out of the dream and you wake in your room. Actually, I'm going to say this time you actually awake in your sitting room on the couch.
Yeah, I was about to say it might have been on the couch this time.
You sort of look around and immediately tense up as you search the room.
I think that's kind of how I wake up now. It's like kind of search the room a little bit.
Yeah, you look around, kind of sweep, and as the lights in the sitting room register your movement, they slowly start coming up. And as you look around the room, you don't see anyone else. You're alone here. Except, of course, as you look over, you can see where Vix has his bedroll that he's unrolled on the floor, sleeping soundly.
To not disturb him, I'm gonna like kind of walk around and kind of like climb over him a little bit, like just kind of step over him carefully. And then I'm going to kind of very quietly start making like calming tea essentially. And just try to kind of center. I think that the Bina's dream, like Peach hadn't intended to go there, and so she's a little shaken that she ended up there, and so she's trying to like kind of calm down from the emotion that she felt from Did she feel emotions? Did she feel Bina's emotions through the dream?
Bina's pretty volatile when she's not actively controlling it.
Because that's what I was thinking. Like so
you probably got a lot out of
got
a lot of unpleasant.
So that's what I figured. So like Peach is definitely just like literally walking around like as she's making tea, like going back, sitting on the couch, holding it, like meditating, kind of trying to like clean her mind basically. Because that's kind of what she's up to right now.
Yeah.
And just kind of watching Vix sleep is like very reassuring to her.
You don't like live where Bina lives, so you probably haven't experienced the emotional trauma of a Bina dream in a while.
Yeah.
So
I assume too Orzai's emotions are like probably more intense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, at least Bina's were in that instance. Yeah. As you are trying to calm yourself,
listening to Vix snore.
Yeah, he stirs and sort of groans, and as he opens one eye and looks up at you, he says,
"Is that too loud?"
He says, not sound wise." And he like sort of slowly sits and pushes himself up into a sitting position and kind of rubs his eyes. He says, "No, I felt it. I felt you."
You felt me?
He shakes his head. He says, "Sorry, it's early. I just woke up. Words are..." He kind of blinks a little bit and blearily at you. And he glances at the cup in your hands. He says, "Is that tea?"
Yeah, there's some with caffeine too.
He stands up and walks over towards the kitchen where you have the kettle still sitting there. Pours himself a little bit and comes and sits next to you on the couch.
Did you get all of that?
He says, "All of what?"
She's kind of just looking at it for a second, like, because she doesn't want to divulge more, so she's just kind of like waiting for him to go on.
Yeah. He says, I just felt I'm not really sure what it was. strong negative emotions. He says, maybe fear? No. I don't know. Not sure. And he just takes another sip.
Yeah.
Says,
Oh,
oh, go ahead.
oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, he just says, did something happen?
Actually, this one wasn't my dream. I kind of got sucked into another dream on the base, and it was a little more intense than I expected.
Yeah.
Do you? I hate to ask this, but I know that you have kind of tapped into a lot of different, abilities. And have you ever figured out how to shield yourself kind of mentally?
It's complicated. Back when I was still, well, when I was the way I was before, it was easy to reach out and leech people's abilities from them. It was like I could study them and I just knew how it worked and I could do it myself, as if I'd been doing it forever.
Your nerd brain.
But now that, well, I'm here, I can't. He kind of looks around and says, I haven't really told anybody except for the doctor this, but and he kind of like looks at the cup that he's holding in his hands as he kind of like looks down. You can see his fingers sort of like drumming on the side of it. He just says, I used to be able to hold as many of them as I wanted for quite a long time, and now I don't have any of them. Just one, and not very much of it.
Just one?
I as you're sitting there watching him, you suddenly feel your eyes just sort of sliding off of him. Like, you still know he's there, but it's like your mind is pulling your attention to anything else. And then it suddenly stops and you're back and looking at him. He says, for whatever reason, Bina's abilities are the only ones I've been able to maintain.
Huh. So do they kind of come and go? Can you still sense them at all, or is it like you never touch them at all?
I've tried a couple of times, mostly in the lab with Abriel, but nothing. It's like they're not there. She thinks that maybe it's more that they are there and it's just a barrier of some kind.
Yeah.
But I reach out and I don't I don't feel them. I don't know how to.
Can I get a full read on his kind of demeanor? Like, is he more like guilty when he's saying this? Is he more like ashamed? Like, what's his kind of what's the kind of mood that he seems to be at right now? Like the kind of tone.
I'll tell you right now that he
just woke up, so
yeah, he's currently, in talking to you about this, he's fighting through a little bit of guilt, some shame at not about the abilities themselves, mostly just about like the implications, the memories that it brings up as he's talking about it. but also there's a tinge of, you can detect it in his voice and just the way you know him well enough that you can detect there's a tinge of relief.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it's for the best that you kind of let those rest for a little bit anyway, and maybe try to reach out for them more when you're ready.
I've had that thought myself. But
Yeah.
and I mean, it's useful. The one that I do have makes it easier for me to move around on my bad days without having to worry about who's going to look at me and how.
Well, soon they'll get to know you and they'll know you're not as scary as you look.
He shakes his head and says, how do you always do that? We started out by I asked you about you, and now we're talking about me.
What can I say? I care about people.
He shakes his head. He says, no, you just don't want to talk about your problems because you want everybody to see you as immortal, invincible. And he just sort of like elbows you in the ribs a little bit.
Well, what can I say? It was really nice having you here tonight.
Yeah. And it's the best that I've slept in the last several weeks, so.
Yeah.
You
I
didn't.
mean,
Did you? Was.
Hey, I didn't do anything. I just provided a comfortable space, a loving atmosphere, a bottle of warm tea, mulled tea.
He shakes his head and just sort of grins and just says, well, whatever you did or didn't do, it was, thank you.
And Vix, I know I act like it, but I'm just as unsettled as you are about all this.
I would be extremely worried about you if you weren't.
Yeah, I'm honestly a little scared.
Of anything in particular, or?
I keep getting taken places at night. Like, I didn't mean to go into Bina's dream, and it's not the first one that I've just ended up in with no intention. It's like sometimes I'm in the driver's seat, and then sometimes I don't know if it's my subconscious or I don't really know what it is.
And when this happens, I mean, is there anything else that's different from normal, or? I mean, I'm not an expert on any of this, but.
And she just kind of a lengthy pause where she's kind of considering like how much she's willing to kind of divulge in this moment to him. Maybe I should get Abriel to just kind of run a test or something.
If you think that'll help, she's been helping me a little bit understand a little bit about how all this happened, how it all works, and I don't know. Even though we haven't really gotten close to any concrete answers, it's somehow helpful just sort of being part of the process. Maybe that conversation will be the same for you, or maybe says, look, I'm not trying to take anything away from your experience here because I know you've experienced what you've experienced, but I mean, what are the chances that it's just additional stress that you're under?
You know, everyone keeps telling me that I'm under a lot of stress. I'm seeing things. I feel fine. I'm a little scared. I'm a little tired at times, but like I think there's some kind of issue with my power is getting kind of messed up, and I'm not sure what's going on with it.
Sure. No, I mean, I'm not saying you're imagining it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to rule out possibilities.
Okay. Okay. Well, at least it wasn't my nightmare that time, so.
Yeah.
Are you gonna stick around to go to the gym with Saya? What? You're a little scrawny now. You could use some more muscle.
The last time I did that, I'm pretty sure she went a little harder on me on purpose. And that's fine, I understand. But I think maybe I'll pass on this one. I might try to go get something to eat, actually.
All right, well, if you run into Bina, try to sit next to her and just be silent or something. I know you guys kind of like to sit there and just, not speak to each other, so.
Sure. We'll see how that goes.
Right. And clean up your cup before you go.
He like stops by the door and looks back at you and just sort of walks back over, picks it up, and then like walks it over to the sink, while all the while like never breaking eye contact with you, and then setting it down, and then just
okay. And I'm gonna go, and I'm actually probably up before Zaya this time, so I'm gonna go and bother her for once.
All right, sounds good. So before dealing with that, we're gonna go ahead and gonna cut to Mason for a sec. Mason, you are currently it is, I'd say, probably the day before you're about to start actually training the newbies. And at the moment, you are actually, where would Mason be at this point? This is sort of pretty early in the morning. Is Mason even awake?
Yes.
Okay.
Mason is awake. Mason is in his room. He's got his shoes on, polished shoes, kind of nice, but if you look closely, you notice that they're like dress shoes, but they're built for running. He's got a pair of slacks that are a little stretchier material for like mobility. He's got his dress shirt on with his shoulder holster sling on, but his coat off, his hat on it's not the hat on the hat ring.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of just walking around, and he kind of looks at he probably tried to get, and hopefully succeeded. He got a coffee maker in his room.
Oh yeah.
And he looks at the coffee, which is already made, and then he looks at the bottle of whiskey. And he looks back at the coffee. Tuesdays. And he's going to pop it, and he's going to pour a little bit of the whiskey into the coffee and kind of grab it and kind of look around and see kind of a weird scuff mark by his door and pull out his magnifying glass.
Mm-hmm.
This little techie thing, and clicks a few buttons. Kind of gets close to examine the scuff mark.
Yeah. You watch as the digital display on the glass just starts like sending out like all the readouts as your watch as it starts analyzing the scuff mark, its composition of materials, starts analyzing like the angle of whatever, like basically rules it down into being like a scuff mark from a shoe, and then starts calculating angles and such that like that a foot would have had to have hit in order to do that, and starts just sort of running through all these calculations. And before long, you can see that it analyzes it. You see it sort of bring up and connects to your terminal, which pulls up its own display, and starts running, like accessing the database and sort of running cross sections with that and your own files. And before long, you see that it's a scuff mark that was left by Jade probably the last time that he was in your room, just maybe like 2 or 3 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that for whatever reason you didn't notice until just now, but it's definitely all of the analysis basically has like a 96% match with Jade and his gait and his preferred footwear.
Oh yeah, I think I vaguely remember that. Mason probably talks out loud to himself a lot. Mason's just going to go to a drawer and open the drawer and pull out a sketch pad with this this little sketch that he's trying to draw of like an outfit that is a little tighter, and he has a note there saying more efficient running, faster. And it's just gonna like make sure, just kind of check a few notes here, and make a few fixes and put it back in the drawer and kind of check his schedule to see if it's time for him to go and get to training.
All right. So the actual schedule for training, as you're looking at your schedule, time's sort of blurring together a bit, but the actual time for training is actually the following day when you're getting started. And as you look at that, you sort of frown because for a second you were convinced today was the day you were starting. It's one of the reasons why you're up at this time, and prepped and ready to go. But as you look at it, you sort of realize that it's like that, that realization that you have when you like expect that your whole day is going to be taken up by something, and then only to find out, oh no, wait, that's tomorrow. It's essentially the feeling that Mason is having right now, just sort of that relief mixed with like, well, shit, now what do I do?
Well, Mason, I'm gonna look to see what kind of jobs I have on my list, if there's anything that needs immediate checking. If not, then I'm going to go and check up on some plants.
Okay. Yeah, as you're looking through, it looks like most of the stuff that you would normally that you might normally attend to is being handled. So kind of leaves your schedule open a bit.
I'm going to go check out the plants.
Okay.
Some plants. I think Mason was trying to grow some stuff.
Sure. So you make your way out of your room, start walking towards the north wing where hydroponics is, but also right next door to hydroponics is the seed bank. The place where seeds that will eventually be planted once hydroponics is up and running are kept in sort of organized drawers, labeled meticulously, and also where there are a lot of the progenitor plants, the progenitor crops that are already blooming and being sort of held in a state of not of suspended animation, but sort of basically being kept sort of like so that their maturation and natural life cycle is being slowed, and so that they can be preserved for a time when they can be used to generate essentially the crop that is going to end up one day feeding the resistance and the base and all of that stuff. you make your way across to the seed bank, passing by hydroponics, sort of glancing in as you do, making sure that Bina's not in there. You don't see her as you walk past, and as you walk into the seed bank, you are surprised because normally there's nobody in here. This is kind of the place where the least amount of work needs to be put into, as all of the seeds and samples have been cataloged already. But as you step inside, you see Jade is actually already in here. As you step inside, he looks at you and says, "Oh, hey." Says, oh God, what time is it? Did I lose track of time again?
You may have. I mean, I did. I thought I was a day ahead.
He pulls up his display and says, "Oh, okay. Sorry, you came in here and I thought it was lunchtime already, and I thought, whew."
No, we're good. We're good. I just
Okay.
came in here. I have nothing on my. I don't have anything. I thought I was going to be training today, training with the new recruits, but that's
Right,
tomorrow.
right. Yeah, Zaya was mentioning something about that.
So, well, I thought I'd check in on the health of the plants and to see how my tobacco strain is.
He smiles and says, "Yeah, I mean, I kind of glanced over at it, but I didn't look carefully." He kind of points over to where your plants are growing.
I'm gonna look.
He follows you over. You can see that what he was working on was essentially he was it looks like he was calibrating some of the suspension machinery, some of the machinery that keeps the plants in suspension. And he sees you looking and he just shrugs and says, "I don't know. I couldn't sleep and it's not my shift for checking the pipeline, so I figured might as well do something useful, or at least something that'll keep me occupied."
Yeah.
And says, "My usual stuff in the hangar bay is shut down with all hands on deck, so I can't exactly go back to work."
You might try to. I understand. You got to stay busy around here, but try to get some rest sometimes.
Oh, it's coming. He says, I'm
Yeah.
already, actually, before you walked in, I was starting to get a little bit sleepy, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the humidity could be just a little higher on there.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I turned it down just a few points, but all right. He goes back and starts messing with it a little again.
Yeah, perfect. Like that. It's not going to damage it. It's just all about flavor.
Yeah. He looks up at you and says, "Haven't talked to you for a couple of days." He says, how's it going trying to get everybody together?"
I keep feeling like I'm coming up against a wall with this.
Yeah. He nods. He says, "I kind of feel
it's
the same
really
way."
Yeah. This has never been my forte. This has never been a job I'm good at. I'm good at like the looking into the nitty-gritty details of something and putting pieces together, figure out an issue, but I don't know how to bring people together.
Yeah. I thought I got through to Bina, and I really do think I did. Maybe it's just gonna take some more time.
Yeah, I think I saw her. Oh, the days kind of blend together, But I saw her on one of the lifts.
Yeah.
I think the time's coming soon.
I hope so. I'm getting tired of trying to chase everybody around and. Yeah. Like you, I'm not really that good at not really good at getting people to. I'm not like Peach. I'm not very good at getting people to do things, and I. Yeah, I mean, I'm just. I know I've said it a lot, but I just miss the way things used to be, where we were all just together all the time, and whenever anything came up, I just knew that we'd have it handled. We'd figure something out together, but
Yeah. Well, something's changed. Something is about to change. Can feel it.
I hope you're
Gut
right.
feeling. Well, I haven't been wrong yet.
Yeah. He says, I wonder, maybe if we change some of the. Do you think it's too hot?
Yeah, it could go down a notch.
'Cause I've never
Just
grown
a
this
notch.
before. I'm not really a grower, but
Well, I'll just tell you the levels and what the what levels need to be. But after that, I'm not really machine oriented. But I
Yeah.
know what the plant likes and what it doesn't like.
he nods and says, "All right, let's see." He opens up the panel on the machinery and starts kind of like futzing with it. Um, with that, we'll go ahead and cut back to Bina. Um, oop, fixing captions. 1 second. Taking our unscheduled caption fixing break.
Hell yeah.
All right. So, Bina, I'll say, how long do you stay in the mess hall?
I mean, I think I would say if nothing comes up on her feed as far as updates, she'd probably take a little bit long. And I think normally she would like eat as fast as possible or take it to go or whatever. But I think because things are being handled and if there's no updates that require her immediate attention, she'll take kind of a slower. Sorry, I don't know if you heard a very loud truck.
A little bit.
uh, uh, she will take a little bit longer than usual. Breakfast is early, we said, and just to decompress and try to, I think, recover from Nightmare Zone because those aren't fun. So I think she takes just a little bit slower morning, as long as she isn't
Yeah.
immediately needed. Basically, is
I'll
what I'm
say-
trying to say.
I'll say that as you're sitting there, kind of trying to move away from the kind of overhanging shadow of that nightmare, you kind of do what you've been doing over the last several months, which is kind of trying to throw yourself into work. But the thing that is simultaneously a source of relief is also currently preventing you from doing that, which is the fact that everything is pretty much being handled and it looks like it's going great. So as you're looking at like the problem at hand, you sort of find yourself sort of idly refreshing, kind of going through. And then as you do this, you find your mind sort of wandering because you realize that, yeah, there's an immediate problem here, which is the pipeline. But there have been other problems. Some of them, I mean, this is a result of one of them. And so slowly you start finding your mind wandering to like all the various malfunctions that have been taking place in some of the equipment, and just sort of going through almost everything. Like systems themselves on the base have been nominal. Things like all of the like airflow and up until the day before yesterday, water processing, power, all of it's been working great. It's just been little stuff like the comms issue, right? Like some of that is as a result of the nebula and nebula flares and things like that have disrupted your like remote communication. But even the base's communication systems have been fritzy lately, and you're sort of starting to think about it and going through some of these some of these pieces, and you find your mind moving to a different problem, the problem of why.
Why 5 months of nominal and casual, like general wear and tear, and now issues.
Yeah.
If I'm starting to make these connections, can I like pull up a some sort of schematic of the facility and try to like, if I'm trying to pinpoint where these issues have been taking place, are they localized or is it just widespread?
Yeah, you pull up basically what just essentially a map, and you start kind of overlaying that map with all like the different small malfunctions and trying to find any kind of pattern or anything like that. They're pretty widespread, and not in that they are numerous, but in that they're just kind of all over the place. They don't appear to be localized anywhere. And as you're looking through this, you have a memory from many months ago. You are on Awakener in the engine room, kind of fully underneath the engine, just sort of laying on your back, looking up at it.
As I do.
Yeah, looking up at it, sort of tinkering, trying to find the source of some bizarre power fluctuation that you've been finding and haven't been able to pin down. Right now, you're looking at schematics of Awakener, just sort of trying to pinpoint where these power fluctuations have been taking place, causing shorts in minor systems across the ship. You just sort of looking through that, and you're kind of frowning at the at the display as it's sort of running through, turning back. Even though it is showing you the results of those shorts, it's also showing you that everything that you've thought to check is great. You hear some sort of footsteps that you kind of immediately recognize as Mason's. And as you kind of like glance down, like towards your legs, you can see Mason's legs just sort of up to his knees, sort of standing just outside of the engine. Mason, you look down and you can see Bina's legs just sort of sticking out from underneath the engine.
Just kicking lightly.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna approach. How do I get up? Wait, hold on. How do I get up there?
Oh, it's underneath. It's just underneath.
underneath.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
underneath.
I'm
the
laying
engine.
on my back underneath the engine block.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
What's
She slides and hangs on by 2 hands onto the engine block, and the other 2 have like some tools in her hand. She says, "Hello."
Hey, how goes what's going on?
Power fluctuations? I don't know. I haven't been able to pinpoint where it is because everything's fine except for the power fluctuations, which are fine, but I want to know what they are. And she's kind of peeking up without being under, just like trying to like peeking up again underneath it.
Is there anything I can ascertain from this scene here?
As far as what Bina is doing, or
yeah.
Not
this
really.
Is Awakener, right?
Yeah.
We're yeah. Oh wait, okay.
Yeah, not really. You're sort of looking around, kind of like trying to be helpful, but like this means nothing to you. Just sort of looking around at this engine, like, I mean, it's an engine room. It's very clearly an engine room, and that's about as much as you can get out of it looking around.
Well, like you could.
I could, yeah.
I have
I'll
no
work
idea.
on that one.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I have no idea.
You could pass me that over there, the red one.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Thank you. And she'll grab it, and we'll plug something in to kind of run a different type of test that she's definitely done before, but
It's so crazy. One moment, I'm breaking and entering, trying to find a lead, and suddenly I wake up from cryo sleep with these abilities, and we're heading towards a planet, and all this stuff's happening. It feels weird.
Yeah, everything's weird all the time. I think that's kind of, I've had to accept that, or else it's going to get hard to continue. You know, weird is the new normal, I guess.
Well, that's a very insightful way of looking at it.
I think I'm just coping. And she kind of pulls herself half under again.
I mean, we're all always coping.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, I think I'm getting somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So much on the mind.
I'm a good listener. She says she's poking away at the device in her head.
Well, I still have a few things I have to put together, I think.
How's your hollow cork board? Fuller every day?
Yeah. You know, I never thought I would appreciate it. I'm much more used to keeping my notes on paper.
Pretty nice to spread out, she says, and as you look around, there are tools everywhere, all over.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It helps. I don't know, give your brain room to think.
Yeah, I definitely could use that. It has helped. I'm just always worried that maybe it's there's that information is not as secure, you know. But I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe I haven't slept enough. Maybe it's one of my gut feelings. I don't know today.
It's at that moment, Bina, as Mason says that maybe he hasn't slept enough, that that sort of triggers something in your mind as you go, slept enough, rest. Systems sometimes get overworked and have to fall back on backup systems to compensate. And that wouldn't necessarily show up on the scans, but it might
If you
cause...
test the backup systems separately.
What?
Backup systems, and she rolls out fully out and up onto her feet and is gonna go pull out. There's a panel on the wall that has the engage into backup systems.
Is this one of those times when I helped without even trying?
Definitely. Told you I'm a good listener. And she opens the panel and she's gonna start running, pulling out some things, and the blue one this time. I need the blue one. And then she's pulling out some tools and
Okay,
she's gonna
here.
And
run diagnostics on the backup systems.
And with that, you kind of that memory, you kind of come out of it just sort of smiling a little bit to yourself, just sort of looking at these displays. Everything looks totally normal to you. Everything looks perfectly fine. This isn't, you find yourself wishing for something, a simple solution like that, like you had that day, knowing that these systems are a lot more complex and it's
a lot more going on than a single ship and an engine.
Yeah.
2 engines.
And as you look down, kind of bring yourself back to that to the task at hand, trying to find the why, trying to find more patterns. There's a small part of your mind that can't help shake. I'm not sure that it even fully consciously occurs to Bina. But at some point, maybe not now, maybe a day from now, maybe an hour, maybe a week, it occurs to Bina that the thing that was significant about that memory is just working close enough with other people that solutions to problems just seem to come easy. And I think that's where we're going to take our break.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back. We're gonna go stretch our legs and try to talk some sense into the captions and
Rough them up a bit.
rough them up a bit. You know,
Talk to them nicely.
We'll be right back.
We're trying the accessibility. Give us the captions.
Stretch your arms, all 4 of them if you have them.
Yeah.
The wings.
Yeah. All right. So we'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. See you in a little bit. And we're back. Hi, everybody.
I was trying to come up with a weird word to say right before it live so it'd be in the caption.
I had to keep going. Don't talk. Don't talk. Don't talk. So that I would remember not to start talking.
Really good at following directions.
All right. Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
When we left off from break, we were in the middle of Bina trying to figure out what has been the source of the malfunctions, the various minor malfunctions that have been happening across the resistance base over the course of the last couple of weeks. And so we'll pick up basically where we left off, Bina, as you are leaving the atrium, having finally finished your meal and having your brain having run away with you enough to the point where you could no longer sit still anymore. And had to sort of walk and think. And you start making your way back towards actually, where do you go next? That's the important question. Where are you going next?
Probably back to where the tunnel is for the pipeline. She's aware that there have been no updates, but like I think being down there makes her feel better so that when something does come through, she's allowed to go work on it.
Yeah.
And if anything, she might start sitting and looking at the information they have about the actual like water processing hub. What's it called?
Yeah, just water process. Or wait, which part?
The part that is not attached to the
Okay, so
base.
that would be the ice drill.
The ice drill, yeah. So that's where we think the problem is, right?
Yeah, well, that's definitely where the problem is.
Yeah, I was like, there's definitely a problem there. Okay, so I think so she'll get there, and if there's nothing for her to do, she might start going over some of the schematics. I doubt she spent too much time over there to familiarize herself with that facility, as well as going over all of the problems that have been brought that we know of what is the issues over there, and just kind of start going through things.
Okay. Yeah.
That's her plan, at least. Whether or not it happens is another thing, but that's her plan for the rest of the morning.
So you make your way back down to water processing, just sort of hanging out next to the entrance to the pipeline. And right now it's actually there are fewer people there than when you left, mainly probably because of the all hands on deck situation. When you were there was probably a group that was just finishing, and that's probably why there were so many people. But now it's you and like maybe one other person who's kind of at the complete opposite side, just checking water levels, basically.
Delightful. Perfect.
So yeah, you kind of settle yourself in at the entrance to the pipeline. And as you sit there, what are you doing? What are you thinking about?
The drill, probably. Like that's her. She's trying to actively is focusing on things that will keep her thinking, like instead of like where it's thinking actively instead of falling into passive thoughts. Like that's kind of what she's working on. So
Sure.
I think she's gonna kind of what I had said earlier, but she's gonna start in her brain puzzling out this next problem.
Okay. As you're sitting there thinking, you are very suddenly startled as a mechanical voice just sort of speaks seemingly from nowhere. You just hear,
"What are you thinking about?"
None of your business.
"I disagree. The entire base is my business."
Well, my brain isn't part of the base. No, is it? And she kind of like looks up around and is like for the particular hub.
Yeah, you look up and you just see where there is it's just sort of a speaker that is just sort of set into the wall up above. And then there's just silence for a moment, and then just says,
"So how can I help?"
Can you?
I am very capable of rendering assistance to all manner of humanoids as it regards operations of the base.
Okay, well, last time you weren't helping me bypass some of the environmental controls so I could get into places that only I could fit. So I don't know if can you be helpful? Are you gonna be helpful this time?
I am very capable.
She just kind of like for a little bit and then goes, fine. Can you get me more information on the drill?
Yes, I can.
Will you?
There's a longer pause this time.
Will you though? That's what I thought.
There's a pause as Codec, the AI that it sort of
Motherfucker.
that operates a lot of the sort of handles a lot of the operation of the
That's
base
his official
systems.
name.
Huh?
I said motherfucker. That's his official name.
Yeah.
Yeah, this motherfucker.
Yeah. Codec seems to just sort of be you're not sure if it's just a processing silence or if it is just a like just mocking you.
Oh, as it often does.
Yes, very true. And then after a moment, it comes back with,
I suppose I could render assistance in this case. What would you like to know?
She squints. She moves over to a terminal if there's one nearby. And we'll just kind of be like, well, okay. How about schematics?
Would you like those schematics transferred to your terminal, to the wall terminal, to somebody else's terminal, or perhaps would you like it transferred to Central Command?
I don't have to cooperate with you. You know that, right? We don't have to talk.
But it's fun.
I know
For
it is.
me.
Of course, I know it is. The wall terminal.
Very well. Transferring to Central Command terminal.
I'm gonna find out how to disable you one day, and you're gonna be so sorry. And she's gonna start digging on the terminal on her own to pull up the schematics.
Good luck, Bina.
I will end you. She is like someone like walks past, like
yeah,
or she goes back into the terminal.
yeah.
Going to find that AI central core and I'm going to punt it into the snow.
You as you're doing there, just sort of fuming over that interaction, trying like pulling up the schematics yourself. She
knew in her heart of hearts, she knew, but she tries.
Yeah. You hear footsteps behind you
every time.
You hear footsteps behind you, and then you just hear whoa. And as you turn and you look and you're surprised to see an Anzalonian man dressed sort of in sort of a dark, just like basically like a tracksuit essentially, just looking over at you. And it takes you a second, but it suddenly clicks and you realize that you're looking at Vix. Says, "Sorry, I didn't mean to. I could just tell that you." Sorry.
Right, cool. No worries. I'm used to it. Well, I used to be more used to it than. Hi, how can I help you?
That's actually what I was actually coming to ask how I could help. I didn't realize that you were going to be here. I mean, not that that's a problem. How can I help?
Oh, well, I mean, we are really short on hands right now. She says with 4 of them. Sorry.
Yeah, you can see his eyes sort of like flick down to your arms and then look back up, and like he doesn't say anything, and his expression does not change.
She shrugs.
But
and then, I mean, I was planning, I think maybe on joining the next crew. I think we're down to, and she pulls up her terminal, was it like 18% of the tunnel left or something like that at
Now
this
now
point?
it's down to 10.
Down to 10.
Mhm.
When is the next shift
The next shift should
planned to go out there?
technically the next shift has already departed.
Mm.
Because in order to get like changeover right, like it's a long ways. Like they've got to walk like through the
Yeah.
entirety of the length to take over where the others are.
What is the like, if Bina wanted to go down to the drill instead, like would that involve taking like a cart out or like
That would require probably the easiest way to do that is surface vehicle. Like you can get to the drill through the pipeline, but it would
But
take
it's
forever.
still-
The fastest way is
Yeah.
probably to go like taking a surface vehicle, which you could do.
Mhm.
You could absolutely do that. You could take a surface vehicle to the drill.
Would it be unreasonable that Bina wanted to go down to the drill right now?
No,
or
not at
would
all.
that, because I think Bina wants to go down to the
Yeah.
drill. So I think she's gonna kind of like pull up she'd be like 1 second and pull up the schedule and see that the last team already left while she was busy having a slow breakfast for once in her life and then
Mhm.
fighting with the AI core
Yep.
of the goddamn facility. And so she's like, oh, and she looks around to the empty base and says, well, I was gonna go to the drill if you wanna come with. This is a partially realizing that she'll probably need help, and two, her trying very hard to follow up on her promise of I'm connecting with people again.
Yeah.
So that's so that was her offer.
This
This other very disconnected person.
Yeah, he looks at you and kind of like glances at the tunnel and then says, "Oh, you mean on the yeah, I mean sure.
Above, not a walk. I don't want to walk that far.
Yeah, I could go.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have cold weather gear yet because I haven't had to leave the base since we got here.
Oh, I haven't really left much either. We can find some. There's probably.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I might know where we can go. I wander around a lot and
Me too.
yeah, he looks at you and says, "Yeah." And the two of you leave and leave water processing and sort of make your way basically towards like where there's like a sort of a storage area that
Like there's resources. I'm sure we could even
Yeah,
borrow something from
there's
someone.
so the
get
place that
there.
he takes you is there's actually like it's near the hangar where there's just sort of like essentially a large storage closet that has a whole bunch of cold weather gear in various sizes, and that includes like there's even some what looks like mountaineering equipment in there as well, stuff like that. It's rare when anybody has had to use it, mostly because most places where anybody has needed to reach on the mountain range have been accessible by vehicle, but occasionally you've heard of places where that were sort of difficult to reach, where like Mason had to go and take some of the perimeter sensors that were a little harder to reach, and he had to kind of trek across the mountain a little bit. But for the most part, you're able to sort of, you and Vix go through this stuff and find like sort of big like cold weather parkas that fit you both.
Yeah.
And so finally suited up, the two of you make your way towards the hangar right next door.
I'll say Bina has all of like her standard toolkit that she always has, but she went and got like specific diagnostic tools and stuff that she knows that will be particular to this area.
Okay. You make your way to the hangar where you can see most of the shuttles that are still here are grounded. Like usually the hangar bay door is open with the sort of environmental shield up to basically facilitate ease of shuttles coming and going. Right now the door is closed, and all the shuttles, at least one shuttle is usually kept running, but right now they're all down. And the hangar bay is almost entirely empty, and except for you can see it like what has become sort of over the last day or two a more common occurrence, which is there is a security sweep that is like going around the hangar. There's like a team of like 2 or 3 people who are just sort of scanning the area. Most of them just sort of glance up at you as you enter, but don't, other than noting your presence, don't interact. However, as you are making your way in, Vix just sort of looks around. He says, can we just, I mean, do we have to check in with somebody? Can we just go? Or
That's kind of what I was wondering too. I feel like we have to tell someone we're going. There's probably like like some sort of system in which we like have to let people know where we are, like a
yeah. It doesn't take you long before, because actually they approach you, but there is a Terran woman who walks up to the two of you, says, hey, nobody's supposed to be in here. Hangar Bay is shut down for the day. And nobody except for any sort of scheduled leave are just, all hands are on deck, so there's nobody running the hangar right now, so everything's kind of shut down. Says,
okay, well, I need to go take a look at the drill. How am I supposed to get out there then?
She goes, well, and then you see that she just sort of like looks at you and then seems to see you and go, oh, hi, yes, sorry, 1 second. You're not on the schedule, right?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. I didn't see you. She pulls up her terminal and starts like going through, saying, okay. Looks like there's a crew out there right now already. She says, she kind of looks around and says,
was that on my docket?
oh yeah, it would have been.
Oh, okay. Well,
but she says there basically has been a crew at the actual drill the whole time, mostly clearing away the ice. That's what they've been doing.
Yeah. Okay.
So like,
yeah, I'm here for tech.
right,
tech
right,
shit.
yeah. And
me and my big square bag that's like
yeah,
full of
which
tools.
you can tell that she has noted, and she's looking and she goes, honestly, I don't really know what we're supposed to do in this situation, because the whole reason that the hangar bay is shut down is to have more people to fix this problem. But of course, if you need to get out there to fix this problem, then you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and clear you for transport. And she goes and says, go ahead and you can jump into 21B. And she points over towards like one of the larger rovers. And
Cool.
she says, yeah.
Well, thank you. She kind of squints. I don't know this person, do I?
No.
I don't know anybody on this goddamn base.
Yeah, she.
Bina's trying to be like, as far like a name.
Yeah. She just says, Reza, just crew chief Reza.
Oh, Bina, nice to meet you.
Yeah, we've met before, and
I'm so sorry. And she turns and starts walking away.
As you're walking, you can sort of vaguely sort of feel Vix's amusement at the whole interaction. And he just, I said nothing. Perfectly like straight face, deadpan. He just, I said nothing.
Then he feels Bina's amusement then.
Yeah. The two of you make your way towards the transport. Hopping in, you find yourself you stop as you're just like go like flipping switches and whatever, bringing the system online. You stop and you realize
fully. I think she has a moment where she just stares at the controls, like freezes for like a noticeable period of time.
Vix glances over at you. He had been sort of studying the seal on the door, just sort of studying it, just sort of looking, and then he just sort of looks over at you and says, everything okay?
Yeah, just she kind of rubs her hands over her like antenna and like pulls them back and like shakes her head and says, I just was realizing how long it's been since I've driven something. And she finishes pulling all of her all of the controls back into like ready mode. And I think after that, like I think it was very smooth up until that realization, and then it felt a little bit stilted. Whoop, punching my microphone. A little bit stilted.
We're all doing
for
it
the
tonight.
rest of that, and then kind of like wrings her hands a little bit and says, "Ready to go?"
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah, the two of you.
Vic, I will say, Vix feels like sudden, just like a wave of apprehension. Because this isn't being like I don't think it's rolling off of her, but because I'm with an empath, or someone who has empathic abilities, he feels her apprehension.
Yeah, he sort of, you can feel his gaze kind of linger on you for a little while, but then as the two of you
pointedly does not.
As the two of you exit in the rover, you exit the hangar and sort of like drop down, sort of with a slight bump as you land kind of fully on the like just getting off of the ramp and down onto the actual surface of the mountain. And about that time, you can see that he just sort of looks away and sort of starts looking out the window and just starts kind of like tracing like the frost lines on the window, basically just sort of looking. And with that, we'll go ahead and I'm gonna cut back to Peach. So it's been a few hours since you first woke up, and you are basically after your morning routine with Zaya. The two of you are walking in. Have basically you took your time, hit the showers, came back, and now are together. You are walking into ops, and as you are stepping into sort of the bustling command center of the base, you can see that in the center of ops, kind of at the Overwatch table, basically, that has like basically is where it's the full command center of the base. You can see Wire is standing there currently, speaking with General Antos, who is sort of pointing out stuff on the display, which now, as you're looking, you can see it appears to be a display of the system, where as you approach and draw up, he's pointing out the location of the fleet on the nearest, one of the closest moons of the planet. And he says, right now, you walk up, he's speaking with Wire. He says, right now, all of our ships are positioned sort of at equilateral points around the moon, which should enable a optimal pattern for scrambling the fleet if any emergencies ever come into play. But everything looks like everything's running okay, but at the moment I'm mostly concerned that most of our ships are running with a skeleton crew, because we just don't have the people to run them all. And as it pertains to any potential engagements we may have to be involved in, we just don't have the ships. Right now, we barely have enough to defend if any skirmishes come our way. We barely have enough to defend, but it's basically what we need is more ships and more people. Wire kind of nods, kind of seeing you arrive, and just kind of nods to you in greeting, and she kind of crosses her arms, and just looks and says, "Okay, so clearly fleet positioning isn't the issue. At least it's not going to fix anything, right?" And he nods, and she just shakes her head and says, "All right, look, it's like I've told you already, Antos, we're working on it, but right now, our communications to the outside are extremely limited. We can't afford to." He puts up a hand and says, I know, we can't afford to give away our position, but I'm just saying that if we keep playing it safe, eventually, it's just the reality. Eventually, somebody's going to make a mistake, or somebody on the other side is going to do something right, and they're going to find us, and we're just not going to have the people or resources to defend ourselves. We've got to do something. We can't just keep sitting here waiting for something bad to happen. And then he looks over at you finally, Peach, and he just says,
Mhm.
"Anything to weigh in?"
Well, recruitment is certainly tricky. I mean, we have some contacts that we've made along the way, and wait, I don't care. What was the planet that we helped the revolution
That was
on a little bit?
Zolaterra.
Okay, yeah. We have some allies around on different planets that we could reach out to. Wire, have you talked to sorry, I know you just said it one more time.
Win on Zolaterra.
Yeah. Have you reached out to Win? I can give him a call.
She shakes her head and says, the last time I spoke to them, they said that they were willing to support us, but at the moment it was going to have to be mostly from a distance. They're fully in the middle of their own struggles.
Yeah.
But
That's what I thought.
if it's any consolation, I mean, according to them, it's going pretty well.
Well, good.
They've gotten some leverage. Now they're just negotiating with it.
And where's Becker with the riot situation?
Well, he hasn't tracked her yet, but he's working on it. He says he thinks he might be zeroing in. She's a hard one to keep track of, as, to use his words, this is somebody who's used to not being found. So right now it's kind of just a waiting game as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. Do we have some people here on the base that are particularly people oriented? Because I don't think it's good for me to go out and be meeting with people. I mean, we're kind of high profile at this point. But if we had other folks that were able to pinpoint organizations or factions that might be sympathetic to us, maybe we could start building support without revealing our exact intentions.
I mean, she nods and says, I mean, that's the goal. That's who I've been trying to find anybody who might be sympathetic to the cause, who might be able to give us anything useful. But the problem is that every single person or organization that I could contact has to be thoroughly vetted. We can't make any mistakes here, like the general said. And at that, the general just says, what about our hosts? And she looks at him and says, Theocracy of Suns are happy to give us a place to stay, but they don't want any part of it. He shakes his head. He says, I don't accept that. You can't be neutral in something like this. They're either with us or they're not, but they can't do any of this halfway crap.
I do have a contact that I could reach out to although I don't know if she'd be too happy to see me.
Wire looks at you sort of sidewise and then just says, you trust this person?
Yeah.
Okay. I will do my, if you pass me what information you can, I'll do my vetting and I will reach out. Right now, you are all, you, Mason, Bina, even Olam. I mean, you're still pretty high profile, and the bounty might be a little lower now, but doesn't mean you're still not wanted. So I think it's probably better that somebody else reach out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Aviva will want to talk to me.
And we can set that up, but maybe that's not our opener.
Okay. Well, it's certainly an in with the Theocracy of Suns, and I have had a lot of work dealing with them. They are not fast-moving people. Even if they do come onto our side, I mean, it's not going to be an immediate fix.
The general just sort of huffs and just says, even a non-immediate fix is something. Hell, I would take a broken down bucket of bolts right at this with a blaster strapped to it. He says, at this point, we've got nothing. Says, we've got no firepower, we've got no defense. It's just a matter of time. We're sitting here with our ass hanging out for the galaxy to see.
Hey, we are hidden. We are doing our best to stay off the map. Don't be paranoid. Not a good look.
You can see as his jaw tightens. He says, it's not paranoia. It's being prepared. Eventually, this is going to come to conflict. What did you think we were doing out here? Selling cookies? Eventually, this is going to come down. This is going to come down to conflict, and we just don't have the numbers. Hell, we don't even have the numbers to talk about not having the numbers.
I suppose you're right. What do you propose, General?
This plan sounds good to me, but I think we're going to have to look elsewhere too. I'm not sure where that is, but look, eventually people are going to have to start. We're going to have to start winning major players over. If the theocracy comes over, that's a big deal, but we're going to need more than that.
Commonwealth?
He just sort of
The ascendancy?
Yeah. He just sort of frowns and just says, right now, with the war going on, it's moot.
Mm-hmm.
They're all too focused on each other. And if history serves as any kind of lesson, they're going to keep being that way. I can speak from my own experience in the ascendancy military that a lot of those old tensions are just looking for a way to boil over. The fact that we haven't had widespread outright conflict already, it's damn near a miracle. Anything that's going to get them on our side is, or at least even listening to us, it's going to take something big. And they're going to want to know. They're going to want to know what they're fighting against. Wire pipes up and just says, they're all so intertwined with the corpse that I'm not sure that even if they wanted to help, that they'd have a means to do it.
I mean, the corpse have also made a lot of enemies. I mean, people like Abriel, whose sister was basically captured. I mean, how many people out there across the galaxy have had Silverbreak take away their family? I mean, it's not like we're the only ones.
At that Wire, you can see that Wire just sort of stiffens up. And then Zaya just sort of awkwardly clears her throat. She says, well, you're probably right. And that's what we have people like Olam and the other teams looking for those people. I think right now there's not much that we can do from here. And the general just huffs and looks down and he mutters something.
Can I catch what he said? Can I listen real hard? It's probably just like him swearing or something. But
I'm gonna say no, but I mean,
okay.
If you can't, you can press him if you want to know.
I'm just gonna let that one comment fizzle out, but filling in the blanks with my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wire just says, look, we've got some places to start. I'm gonna get started. And she just very abruptly walks out. back to the back to the situation room. Zaya sort of watches her go and then looks back at you and just says, well,
I didn't mean to press her buttons.
Yeah.
Not that time.
Zaya just shakes her head at you and she says, nobody ever does. They still manage to, though.
No, I try pretty often, actually.
Yeah. And she kind of glances back towards where Wire disappeared and just says, I think that I am going to get back to what I actually came here to do. And she like moves past the table and like goes to where there's like, you can see there's like an operator sitting at one of the communications consoles, and she just like puts her hand on the chair and leans in and just starts talking to them, leaving you and the general just sort of at the table.
Yeah, I kind of want to pull him aside a little bit. Can we kind of move over to a little bit like less populated part of the room?
Yeah.
General, is there any update on the other situation we had?
He just shakes his head and says, I haven't heard anything from Ravorza. I've sent a few pings in her direction, and she just keeps acknowledging them. I haven't heard shit from her.
And you think sabotage is still your primary suspicion?
I haven't ruled it out, so yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll look into that. I'll look into big plan.
Yeah, I bet you will.
Excuse me, I don't really like your tone, General.
He looks at you and he says,
Speak frankly.
all right. I don't think you have what it takes. I don't think you have what
Really?
it takes to lead us. You're a civilian, and worse, you're a politician. You don't know what it takes to lead people in a conflict like this. You don't know what choices you're going to have to make that are going to result in people dying. You've never had to do that. I have. Now, I don't think I'm the right person for the job, but I sure as shit don't think you are.
General, you don't really know me at all. Okay. I didn't ask for this position. I'm one of the only people in here that have fought again and again against the corpse and survived. They have taken a lot from me, from my friends. You're so tense. It's like
He turns, like kind of standing now kind of shoulder to shoulder with you, and points into ops, and just sort of sweeps his finger around, kind of pointing to the window that leads down to the atrium, which now is pretty full. There's a lot of people down there. He says, look at them. Every single one of them has lost something to the corpse. Or they know somebody who has lost something to the corpse. Every single one of these people decided that they were going to give up what they had for in their lives to be here, to fight. And some of them, no, look at them. Some of them are going to die. The question is, how many? And how many will be as a result of your choices? Are you ready for that?
Think that hasn't already happened.
Maybe.
Look,
It'll keep happening. It'll keep happening, and it'll get worse. If you don't know what you're doing, if you're not ready for this, it's not just going to be some of them, it'll be all of them. I'm not willing to let that happen. And I will do everything in my power to prevent that from happening. I will protect these people from the corpse, from the Commonwealth, from the Ascendancy, and you if I have to.
At this point, I want to use Daydream, and I want us to alternate where we actually are. I want us to instead be in kind of a imagined overlook, watching what planet? The planet that was glassed.
Eos.
Eos. And I want us to be like, basically we're looking out through glass at the planet being glassed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you watch as just columns of shipboard lasers that just strike down at the colony, just destroying, setting instantly ablaze before even contacting the surface of the world. Watching as buildings just disintegrate in the barrage, watching as huge swaths of blackened scars spread across, craters suddenly appearing in the wake of the bright lights. He kind of startled for a moment. It's a testament to his discipline that he is sort of startled for a moment but doesn't fully visibly react. He just sort of
I'm just gonna say
looks around.
Oh. General, I know the stakes. Sometimes people need to see a leader who is unbothered, who is friendly. And just because you don't like my methods or you don't agree with them doesn't mean they won't work.
I'm going to have you make a roll.
Okay.
This is going to be an intellect roll. The difficulty on this one's going to be 5.
What exactly, because we need to know what will help here.
Oh, this is as direct result to your appeal to him. So
is this like persuasion?
Yeah.
Okay, because I have a I'm trained in persuasion, so that brings it down.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
One.
that brings it down 1, yeah.
Yeah. This wouldn't be a pleasant social interaction, I would say. Was this pleasant? I'm appealing. I'm not intimidating him.
Right. It's borderline because it's not like your enemies, but it is
a little threatening. So I don't know if
that this counts.
Is really. Yeah, I was just gonna say. I don't know that
this counts.
Is the show of power impressing him? Because I figured he'd be the kind of guy that would be impressed by that. But maybe not. I just think it's a would it kind of like show him I mean business.
You know what? I'll essentially allow it to count as an asset here. Because you did sort of throw him a little bit with this. This is definitely not something he expected to happen. Plus, like, also be like seeing what is happening, like the actual scene playing out. So I will allow it to count as an asset. So it's a difficulty 3 now.
Okay. I was trying to see if Daydream has like, if I could make like sounds and smells. I don't know. I have to look that up later.
For the sake of this, we'll say sure.
Okay. Well, I want it to be like super like eerily silent in the room, but like you can just see the like big explosions going off in the distance kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't really have anything else, so I'm just gonna use some effort.
Okay.
To knock
you have
down
a free
that.
level, don't you, at this point?
Yeah, I have a free level of effort. So that's down to 2. And then I'm gonna spend to knock those down.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I haven't had to roll yet, so my intellect is full right now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Should I still roll though, just in
Sure,
case?
yeah.
Just for fun?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So it's the first roll.
It is the first roll of this game, yeah.
Okay. It was a 9.
Okay. I am going to offer you a GM intrusion. You succeeded. So there is
Okay,
that.
yes. Yeah, of course. I was like, I'll take it.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and add yourself 1 XP and then give the other one to somebody else.
I'm gonna give it to Bina because she's suffered a lot.
Fair enough. Okay. So you see as he sort of looks around at the destruction that is sort of raining down silently across this this hallucinatory world. As he looks around, kind of glances up towards where you can see the silver fall just barely visible in the atmosphere. Kind of looking up at that, he turns to you and his mouth opens to speak. You can see his posture kind of relaxed slightly. His expression slightly less stony. As he opens his mouth to speak, his eyes dart past you. And you can see that his hand goes involuntarily towards like his side. As you turn to follow his gaze, you can see where there are 3 warped that are currently running across the burning surface of Eos towards the 2 of you. The thing is, Peach, you didn't put them there. That you did not decide to put warped here.
Yeah.
But there they are, running towards both of you.
Like in the observatory, like.
Well, essentially, you've got your like dreamscape up, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. So like so they're basically running across the burning surface of Eos towards you. And as well, right, because you basically crafted this image around you, right?
Yeah, well, it basically daydream. It kind of like alternates where we are and just puts him in kind of a physical dream of my choice. But I was picturing us like in kind of above the planet, like watching it get destroyed, like not on the surface of the planet.
Fair enough. Still, I think that only changes where the warped specifically are.
Okay.
But yes, they are running towards you, just seemingly through open air. As he reaches for his sidearm, he says, "What are you doing? Stop it! Stop it!"
Can I I'm gonna kind of eye them for a second and like just like not show that I'm startled, but like see if I can then basically collapse the daydream.
Yeah. They keep running towards you and the dream doesn't end. They're running now full tilt just a few feet away from you. He says he kind of pushes you kind of out of the way, drawing his sidearm and just starts firing. And in that moment, as you are watching him firing at these creatures, that it's just hitting them in the chest as they continue running, you feel somebody else there. And you turn kind of to look past the general, and you see a person standing in the air like you are, sort of above the surface of the planet, just sort of watching both of you. You can see that it's you, but not. There's something other about her as she stands watching. As you look into this familiar, very familiar face, you can't help but feel no recognition. As you look at yourself, and she stares right back at you. And as
get out of here.
Yeah, as you are making eye contact, her head just sort of like bows slowly as she looks down, and then she's gone, and so is the dream.
He would have fired into the room.
Yeah. As you turn, you can see
like he's still there.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people, like everything has stopped and everybody has like taken cover, and Zaya is currently like pinning him, like has his arms pulled behind his back, and she's just going, "What the hell just happened?"
So I take the general to the med bay.
She
Please escort
at
him
him.
there.
And back at you. Wait,
I'll be there in a second.
and he just goes, "Let go." Says, "I'm fine." And she lets go, and he says, he looks at you and nods to Zaya, and he says, "Captain, lead the way." And he says, and she looks at him and then back at you, and says, "Yes, sir." And the two of them leave ops. Wire is just sort of standing, sort of hands at her side, and she looks at you, and as you look around the room, everybody is just sort of staring at you. Wire looks at you, nods, and then looks at everybody and says, "Everything's okay? Everyone okay?" And just sort of nods
Just
around.
a little I'm just gonna kind of like turn
Mhm.
and just to Wire, but like also knowing that everyone else is gonna hear this too.
Mhm.
Just the general and I had a little disagreement. Got out of hand.
Everything's fine. Back to work. And there's just sort of like eyes around the room as people slowly go back to what they were doing. Wire looks at you and says, "Disagreement?"
Are we alone? We're in like a different room at this point.
Yeah, sure. We'll say that the two of you walk out of ops proper.
Yeah. I know we need him. I know that we need General Santos. I know that we need him, but he's just so annoying.
Wire says, "I don't really fully understand what happened just now, but
Sorry, let me backpedal. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired.
yeah,
General Antos was questioning my ability to lead. And I was trying to convince him that I knew the stakes and I knew how important this all was, but I don't think I did it very well.
She nods and says, "I mean, usually gunshots are a good sign of that." She says, "Just, why don't you just have a seat in the Situation Room and collect yourself in there? I'm just going to be working, so you're not going to be disturbing me."
Wire, you don't regret asking me to take charge, right?
She just sort of, she finally, like, she had led you over to a chair in the Situation Room but hadn't sat down herself, and now she sits and like across from you and just looks and says, "I don't have room for regrets."
Okay.
"No, listen to me. I don't have room, and neither do you. If you're having doubts, that's understandable. But if you're having doubts, then maybe you shouldn't."
It's not doubts as so much as a fear I can't shake.
Yeah. That I understand. The way I deal with that, the way I've dealt with it for years, is to put it in a box and put it away. And focus instead on the mission.
How's that worked for you so far?
We're here. You're here. They're here. This is the closest we've been to any kind of action against the corpse ever. You tell me. Sometimes, when the situation requires it, you don't get to be a person first. I've known Antos for a little while, and I think that's what he's concerned about.
See, I think the differences between me, you, Antos, you tend to withdraw and make yourself strong and just... She almost says cold and then rethinks the word because she doesn't want to say that. And very, I guess, together. But my strength and the strength of a lot of people I care about comes from being so passionate and caring so deeply about all of these people. I can't withdraw. I can't not be a person because that's what everybody here is. So I'm glad that that's worked for you so far. I think I'm just not going to listen to Antos's steam blowing and instead solve his problem.
It's at this point that you become aware that Wire has just sort of a humorless smile that has slowly spread across her face as you've been talking. And she just says, to answer your question, no, I don't have any regrets. You just proved to me why. And she stands up and without another word goes and walks over back to the computers.
Okay, I want to go find someone, but I don't want to take up another scene, so well, yeah, I want to go find Sedona, but we can do that later.
We're gonna go ahead and jump over to back to Bina. Back and at the like.
I just want to say that was a really cool scene, and I remember freaking out. That was fun. Anyway,
I know. I had so many goosebumps.
Ooh, continue. Sorry.
You and Vix are
Oh, thank God. Thank God, back to this.
The two of you are currently in the rover, making your way back to the drill annex, and it's been
Me and my vehicle driving.
Yeah, it has been silent since you left the hangar.
Yep.
And after a while, as you find yourself, you kind of keep sort of obsessively checking the distance meter and just sort of like seeing like basically like the nav, just sort of seeing how close. Okay, we're we're 2 miles out, 1 mile out, 3/4 of a mile out, and like it just keeps like ticking down.
Yeah, it's the internal Final Jeopardy theme, like looking, and it's still God. Okay, like
Yeah. And after a while, Vix actually is the first one to break the silence. As he just sort of starts, you can hear he just sort of starts laughing to himself. Just, I'm sorry. No, just silences make me uncomfortable, and when I'm uncomfortable, I And I just start laughing, and I can't stop usually. And he just.
I think that makes Bina laugh. I think that statement just makes her like genuinely. I think she laughs at him.
Yeah.
Oh,
And he's just, and then he
What
he looks at you surprised, and just a big grin spreads across his face. He says, "Don't laugh at me," and then he just starts laughing and like.
you laugh at me. And she like tries to like does the thing where you like try to like that the thing that Caitlin does that makes everyone tell me to shut the fuck up. Where like I can't.
Mhm.
You try to
Yeah.
and it doesn't help. And
Yeah. And like basically the next
God.
few moments are taken up with just like both of you hysterical laughter
you just, like,
punctuated by
you'll,
trying to like
clamp down on it, but like clamp
Yeah.
down on it, and then someone bubbles a little bit, and you're like, "Shut
Yeah.
up, shut up! I'm trying to stop." The weirdest interaction probably either of them has had
Yeah.
in months.
Yeah. Which probably that thought crosses your mind and makes you both laugh harder, even harder. But eventually
And whatever emotion they're both feeling,
Yeah.
like this
it
frantic,
just bubbles up
like-
into hysterics basically.
and it's a reverb.
Yeah.
It's a reverb effect because both of us are empaths right now.
Yeah.
Oh. The energy in this rover is truly just
The vibe is immaculate.
immaculate. It's a little bit unhinged.
Yeah. Eventually, the two of you sort of start to like finally like get it under control a little bit. He just says, "Okay,
Stop it,
No.
stop it. Mm-mm. I'm done, I'm good.
yeah, me too." As he just sort of says, no, sorry, I was just thinking about the ridiculousness of this whole situation, and
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but yeah, it's this kind of an impulse decision asking you to come with me, but I mean, thanks.
yeah, thanks. Peach has been trying to get me to leave my room more often, and I told her that I have left my room, and she says, "Well, other than just talking to Abriel in the lab," and yeah,
I've had that conversation with everyone who's spoken to me over the past 6 months. So
he nods. And he says, "Not to be weirder than
I was like, I don't think.
yeah,
Shoot.
but I don't know if there's a good way to bring this up, but I have your powers, and I don't know why, and I don't have any of the other ones, and I don't understand why or how, and it used to be extremely easy for me when I was a, corporate controlled super soldier or whatever I was or they were using me for, but now I can't even feel the other powers. I just have yours, and yours I can't not feel it if I don't want to, or anything else for that matter, and it's just sorry. This is
Well, I was gonna say, don't you always have powers, but then you kept going, and now I'm understand. Well, I don't understand, but I get why it's weird now. And you said you were talking to Abriel?
I mean, yeah, I've mostly been trying to help her understand what the corpse may have done to my brain.
Oh,
To
did you talk to her about the powers?
a little bit. She asks questions about my powers, and sometimes just to get a better catalog of the ones that there are out there and how they work, and maybe try to get a better understanding of how it all works. And it might have come up at one point that mine aren't working, or they are, but not.
Only mine. Well, sorry about that.
Yeah. The thing is, I sort of think I prefer it. I mean, not. It just feels like with all those other powers, right? I had so many of them, and it just felt like they weren't mine, like I'd stolen them, like I'd taken something that didn't belong to me. And now that they're gone, I mean, I feel better. I feel not. It's like not having the weight of them anymore. But but I have yours, and I feel like I should apologize for that, but I don't. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I don't. It's not like you did it on purpose. I don't think.
I kind of did.
Well,
I mean, I
I
don't
was giving
still
you an
have it
out,
on
but
purpose, but
that's what I was saying.
yeah.
I mean, well, sorry you got stuck with mine, I guess.
Well, it's actually been pretty helpful because I'm still not really sure about. I mean, I know most people don't really know what I was before, but I still don't. I don't know. It feels weird to be around them knowing what I know. They might not know, but I know, and that's hard. So it's actually been kind of nice because I've been able to sort of not be seen when I don't want to be.
Yeah, that one's been nice. I meant more the feeling.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
weird.
I can
That's weird.
feel that you feel, and I would assume you can feel that I feel. It's a
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they're kind of fuzzy when I feel other people's emotions. They're fuzzy. It's not clear like I bet it feels to you. Or even
Is he describing like standard Orzai like abilities? Does that sound like fuzzier than
You
what I
know-
have now?
yes, definitely fuzzier than what you have now, but it actually feels even when you were when before you had your powers, it was still pretty clear. Like still pretty clear. You could feel emotions pretty clearly. They just weren't overwhelming unless they were like lots of people and lots of different big emotions, right? They weren't overwhelming like they sometimes can be with your powers. If anything, it sounds more like he's describing the extra bump that your powers gave you.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
you have the Orzai stuff plus the powers, but he just
On
has the
top.
powers.
Oh, that's cool. So he's super Orzai without the Orzai.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
He says, I don't know, it's fuzzy, but I mean I can still, if I concentrate, I can usually figure out what is happening. Not usually the why. I still have to ask about that, but I usually don't because it's weird.
It's like you don't have the foundation.
Yeah.
Just what's on top.
Actually, that would make sense because if all I'm absorbing is your powers and not your natural abilities, then that actually makes a lot of sense. But also kind of doesn't. I don't know.
I don't know. It's like with a laser. Bear with me, like a laser cutter or some sort of laser technology. You have magnify that goes over it to focus and get in on it. Except you don't have the foundation. You don't have the laser. You're just looking through the magnifying. You see, and I have the light that goes through it, so I can focus it. But you're just kind of looking. Does that make sense?
Weird example, but yeah, I get it. Yeah.
That's all I know is that shit. But, huh. Weird. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, this is probably the most about this whole situation that I've understood this entire time, so thanks.
No worries.
And I know like I don't really, we don't, I mean, this is the most we've ever interacted non-violently.
I mean, I think had not really put that together. We had talked about in the past for audience sake. Bina has not put much thought into Vix being here at all, and so I think that like kicks her in a way that's like very humorous.
Yeah, and
she's
when
like,
he says it, he kind of
right.
gets a wry grin on his face, and he says,
"You're right, yeah."
But
I hadn't really thought about it.
I mean, we've walked past each other a few times, and like I said before, I have this, and it's pretty fuzzy when it's other people, but with you, I can feel it pretty clearly. Your emotions, and
Bina, I think, looks away out the window for a second and kind of
he says,
grimaces and says, "Sorry about that too."
I mean,
And
he says, are you, this is maybe a weird question, but are you holding back? I mean, are you pushing them down?
she kind of, I think, clenches her teeth for a second and is like, I had to.
That explains what I was feeling, which is this uh this, I felt like I felt your emotions, but I felt like it was like a dam about to break. And he says, sorry, it's the poet in me. He says, you have your tech analogies,
Hey,
and I have my
just
yeah.
mhm. I just called emotions a laser beam, so I think you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. This, look, take this for what it's worth, which I can't imagine is much coming from me, but I think that maybe you're okay, let me try this again. You're holding back, right? For everybody else. Not to
And for myself.
sure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. He kind of thinks for a second and says, okay, let me try to put it this way. If say you're a ship. Okay, don't laugh at me.
I'm a ship and not a laser beam. Got
Yeah,
it.
don't make fun of me. I'm trying. You're a ship, and there's some kind of malfunction, right? Something is wrong. Something, maybe damage happened, or maybe it was something else. I don't know anything about ships. Look, I'm just saying, if you're the mechanic on that ship,
As I often am.
you are going to want to know what's wrong. And you're not going to be able to know what's wrong without looking, right? You can't fix it if you don't know what's wrong, and you can't know what's wrong if you're not looking, running the diagnostic. In this case, letting yourself feel. I'm not a mechanic, and I'm not a therapist. I just
Have had empathic abilities for a couple months.
yeah, it's really hard. I don't know how you do this all the time.
Normally it's not.
I'm just saying that maybe, I mean, most problems on a ship, if they're not addressed, they tend to make things worse, right?
I would say, in fact, all of them do.
You're a ship.
And I fix ships.
Yeah. Irony's a bitch, isn't it?
It sure is.
Well, again, weird coming from me, but if you ever feel
Yeah.
like you need to just let some of that off and you're afraid that it might be bad coming out, I mean, I kind of deserve it, so.
She kind of, I think, scrunches up her face at that and says, I don't think you do. But I appreciate the offer.
Well, I'd like to say I understand, but like what you're dealing with, but I don't really, and I mean, I understand it by what I've felt, but it's
Which is more than most people
you.
in the base, I would say.
You're kind of an outsider these days. You did it to yourself, but I suppose you could make the argument that I'm doing it to myself too. I'm just look. I'm sorry, not great at this. Peach is the one who does people.
You do poems?
Poems and science. Yeah, weird combo. Everybody thought so in school. I'm just saying I understand not wanting to be seen, but needing to be. So
I'll keep you posted.
well, we got there in the end.
Ready to go look at a big drill?
I am so ready to go look at
Let's go
a
look
big
at
drill
a big
and do
drill.
absolutely anything other than. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. They get out of the car and I make him carry some
Yeah.
stuff for making me feel seen. And we go and we go in.
Yeah, you. I'm gonna go ahead and cut to sometime later. We'll say that you spend some time kind of getting past the crews that are basically just clearing ice, mostly done at this point. Like they've done a pretty good job of clearing a lot of the ice away, making the drill actually accessible. And you go inside, you poke around, and you can see that there's some extensive damage, but nothing that can't be repaired.
Mhm. Is it physical? Like it's all
A lot of
physical
it's
damage,
physical,
like
yeah.
it's broken
yeah.
or like
It all appears to be physical.
like we need replacements.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of
Yeah. But it doesn't look terrible. Honestly, as long as the pipeline is still intact, and then this should be a relatively easy fix, and everything should be back up soon. Water processing should be back to normal. But we're gonna go ahead and cut to later in the day, where Mason, you and Jade are currently we'll say for the time being, we'll say you're back at your room, and Jade is just sort of like you with your little tumbler of whiskey, and Jade is just sort of sitting there thoughtfully sipping on some of the coffee that was still left over. And he's going, you know, I wonder if, I mean, I know we've been doing like family dinners and that kind of thing, but it's hard to get everybody to show up for those things. Is there a way? I mean, this kind of feels weird, but is there a way that we can trick everybody into the same? No. As I was saying, it sounded wrong. No, that's yeah.
I can't even trick anyone to save my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to.
I'm not great at it either.
I could try.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about
Okay.
that.
Well, maybe
there has to be an issue that all hands on deck needed. Maybe
yeah,
something like that.
or a mission. Maybe like getting us to go somewhere. I don't know. I mean, there's tons of stuff that needs to be done, right?
too much, but it has to be something that we all have in common. We'd all just be like, we'd all go there at the same time.
Yeah. Jade sort of sets down his coffee and grabs his data pad again, and like basically as you two have been sitting here and talking, he's also been like working. Is his repurposed maintenance drone that he sort of salvaged has just been sort of like calmly sort of buzzing around the room, just sort of floating around on its repulsors, and like as and he's basically been working as you guys have been talking. And Jade goes, I mean, I know we've all been pretty busy getting everything started, but maybe it's time that we do something together, all of us. I just feel like everybody's always going in different directions these days.
Yeah, there's a lot to do.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of the stuff is done already. I mean, people are kind of falling into a routine and they know what to do, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's... And he stops and his eyes go wide. He says, wait a minute. Wait, I think I figured it out. No, not about that. That I still don't know. But the malfunctions.
Oh, yeah.
The malfunctions are on the base. I think... He kind of looks over at the drone as it's sort of floating around. He says, come with me. And he gets up and just like scrambles away from the table. As you make your way towards well, actually, since you're in your room, yeah, you you make your way towards past Bina's room, and as you're passing Bina's room, Jade sounds the door chime. Caitlin, would Bina be in her room right now or not? This is kind of several hours later.
So we've been back from
Probably, yeah.
The drill, the corridor is at 100%.
Yeah, corridor is at 100%. Everything's fine.
There's literally nothing she can do. I think she's in her room.
So you hear the door chime.
And she's like, wait, I have to get it. And she gets up and like opens the door.
Yeah, you see Jade standing there and kind of like practically like you can feel him like vibrating with excitement.
I think she like actually I think she physically reacts to that.
And Mason just sort of standing behind him. He says, I think I figured it out. The malfunctions. He holds up his data pad. He says, I think I figured it out. He says,
wait,
here,
what?
Come
What
with me.
is
I
it?
need to go. We need to go tell Wire and everybody.
She turns and grabs her. She grabs her tool belt and she follows.
Yeah.
It's Kate up to something.
I love him.
You rush.
I love him too.
You do actually get up to Ops and you find Wire is up there, and Peach, you would probably be there as well, as it's not fully the end of the day just yet. So you Wire and Zaya have been sort of like working quietly for the last couple of hours, sort of on your various, like you sort of going through, looking, like trying to find solutions to problems, reallocating resources from different departments to try to like come up with some solutions. And also kind of going over just sort of some of Wire's files that she's pulled on various organizations, individuals, etc. When Jade, followed closely by Bina and Mason, just sort of bursts into the room and says, I figured it out. I know what's happening. I know what's causing the malfunctions.
Come on up, Jade.
He says, okay, listen. And Wire kind of turns from the back corner of the room and sort of wheels her way, like kind of takes her chair and like wheels her way over to the main table. He says, okay. And he takes the display from his data pad and just sort of swipes it up onto like the main table's display. He says, okay, here we've got all these malfunctions, and most of them are in non-crucial systems, right? They're like things like the onboard communications for the base, some of the sensor nodes, even some of the environmental sensors that are designed to tell us when there's shifts in the ice shelf and that sort of stuff. which is why we didn't know it was happening before it did. But look, and he says, ordinarily, this is the kind of thing that would happen as a result of just being understaffed, right? We just don't have enough of an engineering crew. Wire nods and says, right, but that's why we've been using the drones. And he says, exactly. The drones are an emergency system. They were never designed to run as long as they've been running. He says, I can't believe I didn't see it before, but it's not a problem with our systems. It's a problem with the maintenance of the systems.
Secondary system that didn't get rest. Oh my gosh.
He says, they need a nap. And then maybe some software
Base
upgrades,
needs
but
a nap.
maybe some software upgrades, but yeah. And Wire's looking at it and she goes, well, damn. And she sort of sits back in her chair, and Zaya leans over and says, well, and she pushes her chair back and puts her feet up on like the main table and just like reaches into like her vest and pulls out her flask and says, this is the closest I've come all day to celebrating anything. So she knocks back a drink. Yeah.
Let's put some systems to sleep.
Jade, that was so cool.
Thanks.
And we've been fighting with this for how long?
It's been a couple weeks. It's been a few weeks that this has been happening. Longer even if you take into account like the ones that weren't so like condensed in like the same period of time.
Before we started making a
Right.
connection that these might all be related, yeah.
And
Can we do that from here? From the ops?
yeah, you can start like Wire has like several like
Do it in waves.
yeah, there are
Maybe like systems and we have to set up like a schedule in which bots can be offline.
Yeah.
And figure out so we know when we're going to be understaffed in certain areas, stuff like that.
Exactly. So I'm gonna go ahead and say for we're gonna go ahead and flash back to a couple years ago. Bina, it's not your shift on station 23, but you're still here, working on a few working on some maintenance on various ships' engines.
Are they fun ones?
They aren't, but they need to be done.
Yeah.
Your shift ended several hours ago. It has been only you've only been on the job here for about a year at this point. And this sort of staying after hours has started to become a pattern. Staying after hours, working on things because things need to be done. And there's not enough time during shifts to get them done. And
there's nothing that she does anyways. Like this
Yeah.
is her quiet time technically. This is the longest she's lived in a place with this many non-empaths.
And as you are working, sorry, I had to reach over. You can feel someone walking in.
Familiar?
Yeah. As you feel their presence sort of coming in, you start to recognize one of your shift supervisors. You've talked to him a few times. He was nice enough. But haven't had too much interaction with him. He's
Is this Casimir?
It is, yeah. It's Casimir. Sort of an older gentleman, probably in his 40s or so. Is human, maybe Terran. It's kind of tough to tell sometimes, and you've never asked about it. He's never mentioned it. But he he steps into the room and he's got a data pad in one hand and a sandwich in the other as he sort of walks into the room and he looks up. What the hell? You're still here? Didn't your shift end like
She crawls down like the ladder.
just hours ago?
She pulls up her terminal and looks at the time. Yeah.
He says, "This is the third time this week."
Yeah.
He goes, "Kid, he like sets the sandwich down, like he like looks around for like a napkin or something or to put it down on and just sort of settles on like he just grabs a piece of scrap metal, like a flat piece of scrap metal and just sets it down on that. He says,
Yeah, she pointed. Yeah.
he says, "Look, I'm going to level with you." He says, "You're very good. You're very good at what you do. You're better than half the guys on the job and I like who've been here for years." He says,
Thank you.
"But you got to take a break sometimes." He says, "Listen, I know how that sounds. I know that you think that you have it handled. But the thing to keep in mind is you're not the only one here. A lot of these people have been around for years. You're not the only one here. You're part of a team now. Somebody else has got this." Yes.
Okay.
And hey, if you run out of time during your shift, you need some help, let me know. That's what I'm here for. I'm your shift supervisor. And it's my job to make sure you've got whatever you need to do your job.
What if I wanted to do things that weren't job related?
I mean, I don't really have any say over that, so I guess.
Do you want me to look at the muffler on your bike? It's so loud, man.
He says, "Oh, it's fine. There's probably nothing wrong."
It's so loud, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I won't say no to that.
Okay.
But under one condition,
Okay.
and that is that you stop doing this. Listen, we're gonna end up in crunch sometimes, and we're gonna have to be here. But I mean, until then, just let other people handle stuff. 'Cause you're very good, but you got a team.
Okay.
He says, "Now I know we don't really know each other that well, and I'm not very good at the talking to people about, important, personal things.
I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you." But I mean, you're pretty new to the station, right?
Mm-hmm. I was on a couple of freighters.
Yeah.
And a couple junkers.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You used to moving around. That's
Now I'm on the station.
yeah. Used to moving around. Used to seeing people coming and going. I get that. It's in another life, I was right there too. I ice hauler from the
Ooh.
border worlds. Yeah, it was not a glamorous job and honestly very dangerous.
We mostly moved parts and I think medical supplies a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
I just maintained engines.
Yeah. Well, listen. As someone who took quite a while to adjust, sometimes when I would find that things were out of sorts for me, I worked because it's the thing that I knew and the thing that I could control and understand. But I burned myself out one day. I cussed out my shift supervisor. It wasn't even anything. He didn't even do anything. It's just I just had a lot. I had a lot on my mind. A lot of wasn't resting enough and wasn't giving myself a mental break. Even when I was perfectly rested and all that, sometimes you just got to think about other stuff, you know. And this job can get to you if you let it. It can be lonely work if you let it be, but if you want, if it will help you take your mind off of work stuff, I would be happy to have you take a look at my bike, at my car, whatever you want to look at.
I think your bike also needs a new flex transformer.
Okay,
I'm
but
not gonna lie.
Okay, you're right about that one. That I know, but
I can see it, and I have not been up close to that vehicle. Sorry, you were still talking.
yeah, no, basically that's what I was saying. And if you wanna be around somebody, I'm around, and somebody, and we can look at. Damn. He picks up his sandwich and says, "You want to go look at it right now?"
I really do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he gets up and
As she's like grabbing her tools, she like turns and like finishes putting together one fuse that she was finishing, and then closes it
Yeah.
and puts her bag over her shoulder and follows.
and the two of you, like, as you kind of walk side by side and you kind of glance back and you see a couple of other people, like some of the other people whose shift it currently is, sort of step over and take over what you were doing, and just sort of pick up and go. And he says, "Yeah, it's it's a brand it was brand new, and it one day just hit some debris on one of the roads and it blew it out, and it's so new and I didn't want to buy a new one. It's a long story." Yeah.
Do you have a spectrum aligner? Because I think mine got stolen.
Yeah, I think I got one of those.
Sweet.
And
We're gonna have fun. Let's do this.
the two of you walk out of the starport and make your way. We flash back to the present as Bina is watching Jade sort of excitedly work with wire, sort of talking sort of stuff. You kind of glance around and you realize that for the first time in months, the whole group of you are together in the same room, working on a project, working on solving a problem. A problem that you have been throwing yourself against for weeks by yourself. And suddenly, not only is there a solution, but you're together. And that's where we're going to stop.
Okay.
All right then.
Okay.
Got so many flashbacks today. That was very fun.
That was good.
That was so fun.
And then Bina fucked with Casimar's bike every weekend for the next 4 years. And he let her.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh, man.
All right.
Wow.
Well. Yeah.
Hope you're all having a good night. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
John Huma says, "Hi, yes, this episode was like a hug." I'm glad. I feel like I got a big hug.
Yep. Oh, man.
Big forearmed hug from Bina for all of you.
All right, everybody. We're gonna go, but before we do, remember that we have a Discord, and if you're not there already, it's a good time to be there. I will say that one of the things that we are going to be doing, we talked about it today in Writer's Room, that we want to do is, so we've been talking over the last few weeks about what we're going to do with the Data Codex channel, the Infinite Horizon Data Codex channel, because it's become pretty clear to us that, like, what we were originally planning on doing is maybe a little bit outside of what we can handle at the moment, but also maybe not necessary. So one of the things that we're going to do is we've talked about it a little bit. We're going to repurpose the Data Codex channel so that basically at any point, whenever you want to, you can, in the Infinite Horizon channel, you can ask us any questions about things that happened in the episode, things that were brought up, about the world, about lore, about interesting stuff, that aliens, whatever.
places.
Feel free at any point to ask those questions, and then one of us will answer. We'll kind of collect those questions and then answer them, and those answers will be sort of put in the Data Codex channel on Discord, so that not only do you get your answers, but also other people who might have been curious about the same thing can sort of read through them and learn a little bit more about the setting, things that get brought.
Because it's all homebrew.
It's all homebrew, and it's confusing and sometimes unapproachable, and yeah.
And freaking cool.
And friggin' cool. So
Yes, Annie. He says, "It's Annie." Yes, Annie.
yeah. So that'll be the thing.
We won't do spoilers.
Yeah,
though.
we won't do spoilers. We're gonna do our best right now to sort of figure out as we go forward how best to make that happen. How to make it easiest on ourselves and most useful to you who are watching and reading it. So we're kind of just trying stuff out and seeing how it goes. So yeah, feel free to do that. That's gonna be one thing to do. So if you're not on the Discord and you are interested in that, or just hanging out, this is a very good reason to be part of it. So yeah.
If you want good morning messages every morning.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's the
Just
place
good
to be.
morning messages every
Yeah,
morning.
it's really
Having
nice.
people
It's
check
a really
in.
nice way to wake up.
Part of my morning routine now is just sort of checking Discord and saying good morning, Matt, and
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
but yeah, so yeah, check that out. And another nice thing about Discord is that if you are subscribed here on Twitch or if you are supporting us on Patreon, you do get access to some of the Patreon rewards via the Discord. So there is a subscriber reward channel, and that's where like our things like Tabletop Tool Chest, where we have a bunch, like I mentioned earlier, like little seeds for writing projects and RPGs and stuff like that, are going to be posted there, as well as our monthly now, our Media Club recommendations. Get to see like what we're reading, watching, listening to, playing, etc. And get our takes on those things, as well as like supplemental journal entries that come occasionally by the characters. The most recent one, I believe, was Peaches, right?
Mhm.
I think so, yeah.
Which was very, very good. I loved that one. It was maybe one of my
I
favorites.
had fun with that.
Maybe one of my favorites so far. Each one is my favorite so far. So
Every
Yeah,
time
every
it's like,
time
oh, I
there's
love
a new
this.
one.
Oh, I
yeah.
love this.
So like those are good places to. So yeah, yet more reasons to be on the Discord. But yeah. So and also if you are already subscribed here on Twitch and didn't know that, good time to get on the Discord because you can get in on some of the stuff you may have been missing.
All of the backlog.
Yeah, all the backlog.
All of it. Year
Yeah.
plus worth of rewards that you can check out.
Absolutely. So yeah, join us again on Friday for Ramblemancy, where we will be talking about personal growth and how it affects the way we approach tabletop RPGs. We're gonna be talking about that. It's gonna be one of my favorite subjects in tabletop RPGs because two reasons: one, tabletop RPGs, and two, I get to talk about myself. Anyway.
Yeah.
And
Leo
and,
Lucas.
Yeah.
and I get to walk you through both aspects of my tabletop RPG trajectory, which was being a terrible role player and a bad person to have at the table, and being a much better, much improved person to have at the table.
Woo! Growth.
Yeah.
It always does seem to be quite the adventure from the very beginning, the starting points of gaming to the current time. I
Absolutely.
was thinking about that recently. It's crazy to think
Yeah.
about.
Hey, no spoilers. They have
Well,
to tune in.
Yeah, you have to tune in, Freeman.
7 p.m.
It was a teaser. It
7,
was a little-
7
little
p.m. Pacific Standard
Yes,
Time.
on Friday. So tune in for that. And of course, we will be back next week where we will have Infinite Horizon, but also maybe an announcement for you, or at least an announcement for an
That's
Nope,
right.
just an announcement. Just an announcement.
Just-
Tonight was supposed to be the
Woo!
announcement for
Yes.
the announcement. I sort of forgot. But yes,
We're very good.
now
at
I'm doing
this.
it right here
There's something
at the end of the
coming.
screen. There's something coming.
Be very
Yes,
excited.
so,
It's gonna be cool.
So yeah, so hopefully we will see you for Ramblemancy, or at least for Infinite Horizon. But if not, we will see you the next time you decide to come. Oh, wait, before I leave, I forgot. Caitlin, check out Caitlin on Power Play on Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Q Times.
Woo! That's me.
Superheroes show.
See
Love
me
it.
with more superpowers.
Hell yeah.
I have all the superpowers.
You have too much power.
I'm just gonna every show I be on
Unlimited
now
power.
has to be a
Unlimited.
superhero show so that I can just be playing exclusively
There you go.
superheroes.
Yep.
So then inevitably when it comes to fruition that every character you're currently playing is you get their abilities, I will be
There you
unstoppable.
go.
Anyways. It's my master plan.
Absolutely. All right.
come see me play Benny.
Oh, and just as another thing, because I feel like we've not made any like official state. It's just sort of started happening. I will say that Wednesdays before the show, Olivia has been taking over the Twitter account, the Rule of Lore Twitter account, and doing tarot readings for the session. And so far, I am astounded at how just
I know they've been.
I mean,
The cards have been pretty on point.
They really have been.
Yeah.
And like it's yeah. So follow us on Twitter for Olivia's Infinite Horizon tarot readings every Wednesday.
they're so fun.
Yeah,
I'm obsessed
They're
with
very,
them.
very good. Yeah, John's like, Lucas and I were screaming in writer's room today. We really were. It was great. So all right, everybody. We will see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone. We love you very much.
Good night, everybody.
See you next time.